Hey everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus a little bit of insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief, John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show in the world, coming to you live from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. We are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also here, AMC Movie News Production Manager, Dennis Zen.
Hey guys, so all three of us were at WonderCon this weekend.
Yes.
I didn't see you once.
I didn't see you either.
And I saw you for like 5 minutes.
Big place.
Yeah.
Also here, writer-director, John Schnepp.
Yeah, I was here. Thanks all the AMC guys who came by to say hello. I was hawking some Superman posters. Campea and his wife came by. His wife was wearing a crazy Arrow cosplay on Saturday. So thanks everybody for coming by. And I saw Dennis for a millisecond.
Hey guys, before we get into the rest of the show, I wanted to let you guys know that normally we record AMC Versus on Monday nights and then they air on Tuesdays, but we're actually not going to have an AMC Versus this week because tonight we've got something really special going down. The new film from Lionsgate, The Quiet Ones, opens this week in AMC theaters. And tonight we are really excited because we have the 3 stars of the movie, Hunger Games Catching Fire star Sam Claflin, we have Jared Harris, and we have Olivia Cooke, all coming into studio tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to talk about this new horror film from Lionsgate, The Quiet Ones. We are so stoked for this. We're going to have a live studio audience in here, and we are streaming live. So listen, if you've got a question for any of those stars of the film who are going to be on here, you can actually start tweeting in those questions now, and you can tweet your questions to the hashtag QuietOnesAMC. So once again, tweet in your questions using the hashtag QuietOnesAMC, and we're going to pick a bunch of your questions and ask the stars of the film tonight. So once again, no AMC Versus this week, but we got this great event tonight. Please tune in and watch.
Many film fans have been wondering why James Franco and his character do not appear in the upcoming sequel, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Well, this weekend at WonderCon, director Matt Reeves confirmed that Franco's character dies sometime in between the first film and this one, but that he will be making a cameo appearance important to the story of the film. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes hits AMC theaters everywhere on July 11th. John, what do you think about Franco appearing in the film?
It makes sense. I mean, really, a lot of people were asking right at the beginning, hey, why isn't Franco the star of this when they first started talking about it? Well, it makes sense because the star of Planet of the Apes is the apes. And really, it's Caesar. And James Franco's character plays a very important part in that first chapter, but as we're moving forward, I think all of us knew that Franco's characters would diminish, whether he would be completely eliminated or not. But, you know, Reeves also went on to explain that he talks about Caesar, and what makes Caesar so interesting in this world is that he is the one being who has a foot in both worlds. He is an ape in this ape uprising, but at the same time, he was raised by humans. He understands human. And when he explained that, having a scene showing Caesar with James Franco was important to really establish the human side of Caesar. That made a lot of sense to me from a narrative point of view. So I'm really excited. I'm glad he's going to be popping up, but I'm also totally fine from a story point of view that he's not a key character in the movie. So that's just my thought. Dennis?
From what I read, James Franco himself didn't even know that he was making a cameo in this next movie. Apparently, I think they're taking some footage from the first movie that they didn't use and are using it in this new one. What I wonder is like contractually, how much do they have to pay him? Like, does he have to sign off on it? And, you know, are they gonna like use him in like, you know, the credits and stuff like that? So I don't know. It's.
Now, do we know that that's a fact that he didn't know, or is that just a rumor? I haven't heard that.
I think that they asked him about it.
And he actually said,
yeah,
he didn't
he's
know.
like, no one
That's funny.
contacted me. He's like, I didn't know I was in it. So.
That's funny. Schnepp?
Well, whether he was like, you know, it's footage that was on the floor that they rejiggered to make an older Caesar, I'm cool with whatever. I'm glad that they're like tying it in a little bit, because it would be an abrupt thing like if they're just like, yeah, he totally died and you don't see him. And, you know, they're not going to show him die anyway, but this is, you're guessing this is what, like maybe 5-10 years later, this new sequel. So, you know, I'm cool with that he's in it, and I'm glad that they're like tying it together with that one connection that Caesar had was the James Franco character. So I mean, it's hard to tell. I'm sure it'll be credited too. They do that a lot where they use a photo from someone. Like in the Dark Knight Rises, they had Harvey Dent.
In Captain America 2, we saw like all the portraits of all the characters.
Sure, you saw the Red Skull, Hugo Weaving, even though he wasn't in it, there was an image of him. But they by rights, I believe there's some way that they can use footage from before without the extraordinary amount of money that they would have to pay. So.
All right, what's next?
As many of you know, director Quentin Tarantino was developing his movie, The Hateful Eight, when the script got leaked. So infuriated by the leak, Tarantino announced he was canceling the film. However, there now appears to be some hope. This weekend, he hosted a live reading of the original script with the help of Samuel L. Jackson, Tim Roth, Kurt Russell, Amber Tamlin, Bruce Dern, Walton Goggins, James Parks, and Michael Madsen. Tarantino also revealed that he is working on a new draft of the script with a completely different ending. Dennis, does this mean we could see a Hateful Eight movie after all?
I think it does, and I think it's great news because, it's great for Tarantino because he gets to make the movie that he's been working hard on. It's great for the studio, the Weinstein Company, because Tarantino movies always make money. And also, they were at that reading to I think, gauge the reaction from the people.
Right.
And it's great for us fans that are Tarantino fans. We get to see a movie that, is in a genre that he just did and, probably will be a different take on that. But I'm really looking forward to it. And I think we had talked about this earlier about, if he has a cooling off period after the initial leak, that he might change his mind. And I think this was a positive thing for him. And we have to also remember that, we, meaning the people here in the studio, the people watching this show, just the entertainment industry in general, we have to remember most movie-going audiences don't care. Yeah. They don't care about script leaks or casting changes or all that stuff. They just go, they see maybe a trailer or a TV ad, and then they go, okay, I want to see that movie, and they go see it. So I don't think anything would get ruined for them if the script was still the same, even though he's changing it.
It's funny you mentioned that because I was in Best Buy the other day looking at some stuff, and I'm standing at an area in Best Buy looking at some gear, and I overhear these two people talking next to me, and the Star Wars comes up, and they're like, oh yeah, like a new Star Wars movie's coming out. And the two people that were with them were like, there's a new Star Wars movie coming? It's like we forget, we who live in kind of the movie circles, and that includes online film fans, we live in certain circles where we're talking about movies all the time, we're reading the blogs. We forget we are the 1%. We're the 1 or 2% maybe, and the vast majority of the people. Yeah, and you're right, we did talk about this, and we said, totally understand Tarantino being really mad and really upset, and totally cool with the fact that he was so mad about it. He said, that's it, I'm canceling the whole movie. But I believe we also then said, but come on, Quentin. After a while, you're going to take a deep breath. Right. You're going to step back. You're going to gain some perspective and realize this was going to be a great movie, and fans want to see it, and we'll move ahead and do it. I agree with you. I think this does mean they're going to do it. I don't think he's made a final decision in his head, but the fact that he did a public reading, the fact that he's reworking the script and doing another draft of it, just changing the ending, I think this all points to the fact that Quentin Tarantino is a smart dude. He got angry as anybody would. He cooled off, and now cooler heads are prevailing. I think we're going to see it. Schnapp?
And also, this public reading was pretty expensive to get into because I was like, oh, I'm going to go, and then I was like, Ty was like, oh, I'm not going. I was like, it was like $350 a ticket. Which is, I'm not saying.
And they did not live stream it, and they are not podcasting it. You were either in that audience
or tough. No cell phones, silence, everything, cone of silence. So would I have liked to have been there and seen that? Yes. And as I'm not saying those tickets aren't worth it for that amount of star power and amazing, get the chance to see it read live. I'm one of those people who I didn't download the script. I'm not interested in reading it until it's unless he's cool with you reading it, I don't want to read it. So I look at it like hopefully he'll make this movie with the new changes and put both scripts out as a double script. Like here's the leaked one, here's the changed one.
I remember a bunch of years ago, this is probably going back 12 years ago, a DVD was put out for the 15th anniversary of Les Miserables. And what they did was, instead of doing the whole production, they just got a stage, they put out 40 chairs on the stage, and they got the best performer from all around the world for each part. So they went out and got the best Jean Valjean. They went out and got the best Javert. And they went out and got the best, and they brought them all, and they all just sat on, they were in costume, and they all just sat on stage in chairs, and they basically sang through the production. So when it came this part of the show, when Javert and Jean Valjean are singing off against each other, just those two stand up at the mics and sing their parts and sit down. And it was as enjoyable as the actual stage presentation of Les Mis. And you're right, that's exactly what I thought of when I read they did this stage presentation of Hateful Eight. You're right, it was really expensive, but I really would have liked to have been there. I think that would have been great. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Schnepp, Dennis, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
The news came out that Sony Pictures has registered several web domains, including Bioshock-movie.com, Bioshock-movie.net, and bio-shock.net. A Bioshock movie based on the popular video game was in the works back in 2011, with Pirates of the Caribbean director Gore Verbinski attached to direct. The film was going to be rated R, but when another R-rated genre film, The Watchmen, failed at the box office, and the proposed budget on the film ballooned to over $160 million, the project eventually died. Schnepp, buy or sell that Sony is actually going to do a Bioshock movie?
I'd like to buy it. I sell that they're going to make it. I want to see it, so I'm so caught in the middle. All right, I'll hesitantly buy it because I would love to see a Bioshock movie. I'm one of those guys who played Bioshock. It scared me, crazy style. I love Bioshock Infinite even more than I liked Bioshock. I don't know if you guys have tried out Bioshock Infinite, but it's really an immersive game. It's literally fun to just walk around these floating sky cities until you get sucked into the storyline. Are they going to make a Bioshock? I think they'll make one for like $30 million. I think they're like, look, we're not going the 150 million. We're going to go a little bit more old school, a little lower budget, you know, and make a gritty R-rated Bioshock. That's my guess because the game company just shuttered. They closed their doors. I just read about Bioshock, the whole company that made Bioshock and was making the sequels to Infinite. They just closed everything. Everybody's not working there anymore. So whether or not they're going to make another Bioshock, it doesn't look that way. So the game itself seems to be dead. So I don't know if they're going to, you know, if they're going to make a movie, you know, get the whole game back together or something, the company back together. But as far as a movie, I think it'll probably be a way lower budget version if they are going to do it.
Dennis?
I'll buy it. I think they'll eventually make it. I do think they will lower the budget, but I don't think they're going to go that low. Maybe a $60 to $80 million film. And I think it depends on what we've always been saying. Warcraft, you know?
Yeah.
If Warcraft does well, then everyone's going to hop on all these video game franchises. You know, Bioshock has great visuals, an interesting narrative. So I think they want to do one. They're probably just going to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, I've said for a long time that, you know, all video game movies suck, but the one, for a very long time before we knew Warcraft was going to be coming out, we always said that Bioshock is one that really does have very rich narrative possibilities, the way that it's set up. I gotta disagree with you about the fact that they could go down as low as 30. I'm thinking probably closer to $100 million. Really? Now, they won't do $160 million, but I believe they could go something for 100, and I do believe this will eventually happen. I gotta buy the concept that it will happen. How soon? I think Dennis is absolutely right. I think the guys at Sony are just gonna sitting back now waiting, how does Warcraft do? And if it does well, full production 24 hours later.
Right.
All right, what's next?
At the showrunners panel at WonderCon, writer/producer Rockne S. O'Bannon confirmed a rumor that he is currently working on a feature film script for his old TV show Farscape. Farscape ran for 4 seasons between 1999 to 2003 on the Sci-Fi Network. O'Bannon cautioned the audience that things are still in the very early stages, but that they are working on it. John, buy or sell that we'll ever actually see a Farscape feature film in theaters?
I'm gonna sell this hard. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, no, but he said they're working on a script. For every one movie you see in theaters, there are 5,000 others that got written into scripts and didn't make it. And I think Farscape is one of those things. It got canceled before it was supposed to get canceled. It was supposed to be a 5-season run. Sci-Fi cut the legs out from under it again. Not a ton of people watched it. I just don't see, I mean, I think it's great that some people have shown interest in it and he's running. I was actually in that panel when he was talking about this, and I think that's wonderful. And look, you do a Farscape movie, I'm interested in seeing it. I'm going to watch it. But I don't know that a lot of people are going to come with me. So I just can't see this happening. For me, it's a sell. Dennis?
I'm going to sell it as well. I never watched Farscape. I know it has like a cult following. I know people are going to get mad at me. It looked cheesy. And so I didn't watch it. It could be the greatest thing. But we have to remember, Firefly, something I did love. Cult following. They made a movie. Didn't do that well. So don't think they're going to make one unless they go like the Veronica Mars route and do like a Kickstarter, raise some money, and they limitedly release it and then VOD it.
Yeah, and you know my feelings on millionaires asking people to donate money to them. Anyway, Schnepp, what do you think?
I'm gonna fan buy it and professionally sell it because, yeah, so I'll sell it. I think it would be great to do, but they've already done that. They had the series, and then they made these little mini series that were just TV longer movies to kind of explain. I think it was the
Peacemaker Wars.
Peacemaker Wars.
Yeah.
So they've kind of done that, and they've played in that field, and it's just it has never been the giant hit that they wanted to be because it is a bizarre melding of the Henson puppet kind of.
Yeah. It's very creative.
Yeah, it's super creative. I'd love to see them keep going. So I would think that in the movie world, it's not going to happen because it was never a movie in the first place and there's not that desire to see it as a film. I think it'll end up being on Sci-Fi Channel. It'll happen. Whatever script he's making will get turned into a TV movie. So
but you doubt, too, that it'll be a feature in theater film.
I'm selling it as a movie. As a theatrical release, it won't happen.
All right, what's next?
The weekend box numbers are in, and they revealed 2 surprises. First of all, Captain America 2 took the #1 spot of the box office for the 3rd week in a row, taking in $26.6 million domestically and raising its worldwide total to $586 million, $200 million more than the original Captain America film. The second surprise was the new Johnny Depp film Transcendence, which came in 4th place in its opening weekend, bringing in only $11 million domestically and $28 million total worldwide on a reported $100 million budget. Dennis, buy or sell these box office numbers?
Well, I buy them for Captain America too, because they're kicking ass and they're surpassing all their expectations. You know, Marvel's just hit after hit. Yeah, Transcendence, another bomb for Johnny Depp. I guess his star power is slowly losing some power. I mean, with Lone Ranger, Dark Shadows, and I guess his only hits lately
Rum
have
Diaries.
been, yeah, his latest hit has only been like what, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then you know it's odd. They tried to sell the movie on Wally Pfister's name, which we know who he is. He's an amazing DP, does all of Nolan's movies, but the general audience has no clue who he is. I'm surprised they didn't push Chris Nolan's name more the way they did for Man of Steel. Remember, like with Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's image at that time was from Sucker Punch was a little diminished, and so they're like Chris Nolan, even though he just produced it. I'm surprised they didn't do the same thing with this.
Did Nolan actually have anything to do with it? He wasn't even a producer on it, was he?
Really?
Yeah.
No, they would have
From The Apprentice of Christopher Nolan.
For the DP of Christopher Nolan's other films. Like, how would you market that?
I'm sure they'd find a way.
Snap.
If they did that, that would have been fun. I wish the trailers were from the DP of Batman Begins.
From the guy who once had lunch with Steven Spielberg.
You know, I haven't seen Transcendence, so I can't rightfully rip on it or be positive or negative about it. Am I bummed that it's gotten such a critical lashing and also everyone stayed away from it in the theaters? I am, because I love big science fiction films. I was very much looking forward to seeing this film. I am going to see it in the theater. I still am. I like to make my own decisions, my own opinions. Even if everybody hates on it, I might like it. You never know. But I am kind of upset about it being, so overall kind of doused with vinegar. But Captain America, I'm very excited about. I thought that it's doing just as well as everyone else feels about the film. Like we all think it was like, hey, it was a little bit better than the first film. It took moments from the first film and brought them into the second film and grew it as a story. It's so well done. So I'm happy to see it be the success. It deserves it. So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm with you. I'm going to buy the whole success of Captain America 2. To me, I think it's the best movie of the year that I've seen so far. It hits on all cylinders, and seeing it, the audience responding to it much better than they did in the first one is really rewarding. But man, this Transcendence thing. I mean, you're right. They were really pushing Wally on this one, but at the same time, it's Johnny Depp's face on the front, right? And you're right. We can't ignore this. We can't stick our heads in the sand about this. Rum Diaries, Lone Ranger, this, Dark Shadows. Is Johnny Depp done? I mean, obviously, he can still go back to Captain Jack Sparrow and make $1 billion worldwide, but is Johnny Depp now just Captain Jack Sparrow?
He was in 21 Jump Street, and he was great in that.
Well,
that was a hit.
Boom!
Yeah.
People went out to see that Johnny Depp cameo.
I like the way you say Rum Diaries earlier. Rum Diaries? Kind of slightly drunk.
But I mean, it's really stunning because if you want to run down the list, if you had to name a 10 list of the faces of actors in Hollywood, like Hollywood movie stars, Johnny Depp, 9 times out of 10, is going to be on that list, right? For most people. And like, people are not going out to see his films. This movie, look, however it turned out, this movie looked great. It's an interesting sounding story. I mean, the trailers look good. You have aside from Depp, you have a phenomenal cast. Like, this cast around him is just incredible. And still nobody went to go see it. And you can't blame it on the bad reviews, because bad reviews only have about a 10% positive or negative swing. So it made 11 million. Maybe if it had positive reviews, it only would have made about 13 or 14. So, I mean, I think people are going to be sitting back now. I think there's some big projects in the works that maybe had Johnny Depp's name attached to it that are going to have now people going, because he's a ridiculously talented performer. He's good. Yeah. He will deliver. People don't seem to be interested, and it's a little bit head-scratching.
Right, that's true.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like brought up on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Now, we're also going to leave a little bit of time at the end of the show to take your live questions if you're watching us live. You can hop on Twitter and tweet to us at AMC Movie News. Ashley's going to keep her eye on the Twitter stream, and we'll bring up your live questions. But for now, it's time for Mailbag. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Daniel Robert Levson writes, I am wondering about the few or many movies that do poorly in theaters that are truly set up for some kind of sequel. One movie that I'm thinking about is the live-action Masters of the Universe from the 80s. During the after-credit scene, Skeletor pops his head out of the water after being pushed by He-Man down to who knows where and says something like, I'll be back. What are your thoughts to what they did?
Well, I mean, we've seen this a number of times where films set themselves up for sequels, and it doesn't necessarily go anywhere, right? So the Masters, that's a great picture. Masters of the Universe one is a great example. Of course, we talk sometimes about Aragon, the dragon film. What that last little scene with John Malkovich revealing his dragon. They wanted to go a
Green
sequel with
Lantern.
that.
I have the yellow ring.
Yes.
Not really. No sequel. Yeah.
So they did that. I mean, so the false advertising and stuff like that is really weird. So, I mean, look, I can't fault a movie for that, though, because you make a movie wanting it to be awesome, hoping that the audience is going to love it, and you want to go further with it. So you set it up for that. But once again, just because you set it up doesn't mean the studio's under any obligation to move forward. But yeah, for me, the biggest one that really stood out to me was that Aragon one. Because I remember watching that movie in theater. I was so excited to see it. And it just sucks so bad. It's so awful. And watching it, and then that last scene came up with Malkovich, I'm like, and like I said out loud to the guy next to me, yeah, it ain't going to happen. That is not going to happen. I'll tell you right now, that is not going to happen. Anyway, Schnepp, what about you?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny they bring this up because Masters of the Universe, this was actually the first secret ending. It's a lot of people were writing, X-Men The Last Stand had that ending. This is the one that had an actual filmed ending with the bad guy saying, I'll be back, you know? So as a side note,
I can't stop looking at that picture.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Frank Langella, ladies and gentlemen,
so good
as
in that.
Skeletor. I think it's great. You know, that happens a lot. People have the best intentions. They're like, man, when this movie makes all that money and we're setting up the audience for that sequel, and then the cliff, jump, fall, you know, it's just not happening. But you know, everyone has the best intentions when they're making a movie. People making a movie 9 times out of 10 don't think they're making the big stinker. You know what I mean? They're like, everyone's like, you know, sometimes you know if you're involved in the production, you're like, it's got some rough edges. You're hoping in whatever facet you are in the chain of command, you're like, hopefully they smooth that part out. Woo, that's not working out. Or hopefully, hey, look at that script. Woo, you know. Hopefully they work on it while they're shooting. You never can tell how the finished product is going to be until it's done. I mean, film is such a collaborative medium. I mean, just because a script gets written, like we're talking about Farscape, that means nothing.
Yeah.
Literally, it means something. A dude wrote a script, a chick wrote a script. That's awesome. I'm happy that it got made. But then it's going to go through that transformative process. They got all the way to making the film, and they were already banking on the sequel. Skeletor is going to, you know, it's not happening. Didn't happen.
Most movies want to have a franchise and sequels and stuff like that, and it doesn't always work out. One that's not really a sequel tease, but at the end of X-Men Origins Wolverine, they had that short clip with Deadpool. Do you remember that?
Oh,
it
yeah.
Was the severed
eyes
head
open.
and the hand, he goes, shh.
So they had like 6 endings. Remember that? 6 secret Deadpool endings. Somebody finds the head and kicks it. They had all these different weird endings.
Yeah, so they're trying to, you know, tease us for a spin-off, but then the movie wasn't that well received, and people didn't like the Deadpool
That was
that
a
they were
very
given.
kind way to put it.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't that really well received.
And
That's
Deadpool
right.
itself, as the character, was just, you know, fans were not happy in the
No,
regular
no.
audience.
Sew his mouth shut. What?
Yeah.
But he talks. I know. Just sew it shut.
Merc with a mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, so his mouth.
Yeah,
But-
sew his mouth.
Wait a
shut.
minute, you want to sew shut the mouth of the character known as the Merc with a
Yeah.
mouth?
Makes total sense.
It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I have no questions, no notes. All right, what's next?
PW writes, my question is regarding false and misleading advertising of movies. Sometimes the advertising of a movie suggests that an actor/actors is/are the star of the movie, Saving Mr. Banks, Transcendence more recently, or Executive Decision from my childhood, which I only saw because Siegel was on the poster. Why isn't there a rule that bounds the amount of advertising to the amount of screen time or something like this?
Yeah, false advertising in marketing. Look, I'm okay with a film marketing itself however it wants to be, as long as you don't start selling something that it's not. You know, I remember one of the first times that I really noticed this was, I believe it was either the second or the third Mission Impossible movie. It might have been the third, the one with Anthony Hopkins, at any rate. And you watch the trailer, without hesitation, we could pull up the trailer now, and if you could time it, I'm willing to put money down that Anthony Hopkins, you hear his voice speaking or you see his face at least half of that trailer. That thing is advertised as starring Tom Cruise and Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is maybe in 4 minutes of the movie, maybe less. I think there's 2 scenes with him in it. But you watch that trailer, man, it's Anthony Hopkins all over the place. I remember the other real big thing about a real misleading ad campaign, and I love Disney Studios, everybody knows that, but the worst offender of this I've ever seen was this children's movie they made called The Bridge to Terabithia a few years ago, which is, by the way, a very good movie, but it is not the movie they marketed. They marketed this movie, you know, really capitalizing on the Harry Potter thing and the Lord of the Rings thing about these kids find this magical kingdom, and it's, you know, that they escape to in the woods and things like that. And it looks like this happy magic kingdom adventure thing has nothing to do with the film. It's about this little kid whose other little kid dies. His other little kid friend dies, and him dealing with it. I mean, it's such a different. And the tragically ironic thing is that on its own, for what it was, The Bridge to Terabithia was a really good movie, but not the movie they advertised. I remember a lot of parents were really mad because they took their kids. This movie that Disney kind of advertises this fun, magical adventure, this magical kingdom in the forest, whee! And instead, they're having to talk to their kids about, okay, this is why the little girl died, and why the other boy was crying, and why the family was so sad. And they were like, some parents were really pissed, understandably so. But anyway, what are some really good examples that you guys can think of like marketing that just kind of misled the audience?
Well, I was going to say that movie that you brought up, I remember seeing the trailer with these little like weird puffy monster dog things and rings flying around, and that's why I didn't see it, because I was like, it's some kind of Harry Potter ripoff. If they made it all spooky and filled with death, maybe I would have gone. But that's obviously they weren't marketing it for me; it was for kids. But for me, I think it was Battle Beyond the Stars. As a little kid, I remember in Starlog they had a poster for Battle Beyond the Stars, and it had all these weird aliens and crazy, some kind of weird dragon-headed monster creature that are not in the film. They're not in the movie. There's like of the 9 things that are on this poster, 3 things are actually in the movie. And I remember being angry as a kid, like even though I love the film because it's a blatant Star Wars Seven Samurai style. Magnificent Seven ripoff. It's just taking that story and throwing it in the future, and it's really well done. It's a fun film. If you've never seen it, it's on any one of the streaming channels. You can check it out. But as a little kid, I remember that disappointment of false advertising. I didn't realize what that was, but I was like, how come this little creature's not in it and the Dragon Man's not in? I remember like asking my dad. I was like, dude, is it a different movie? Is there another?
Did you take me the wrong movie, Dad?
No, but I liked it. I was like, maybe there's another one. I was like, for me, that's the first instance I remember of false advertising.
Dennis?
Well, with Bridge over Terabithia, I remember I read the book as a kid, and I loved the book.
Right.
And so when I saw the trailer in the theaters, I was like, did they change the story? Because this is totally different. But in terms of the question, there's no rules for it. I think this question does have more merit than, remember there was that one lady who sued over Drive? because she thought it was going to be Fast and the Furious.
Yes, yes.
So that is ridiculous. But what he's asking is a more legitimate question. Like sometimes they falsely advertise, oh, this guy's going to be in the movie a lot. I remember seeing Executive Decision as well and seeing Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal's all over the trailers on the poster. I'm Steven Seagal. Ah! And that's it. He's gone.
Not a star that's missing, but I remember watching Joe versus the Volcano. It's called Joe versus the Volcano. They don't get to the volcano until the last like 15 minutes of the movie, and then that's it. And then I was like, this is not the movie that I thought it was gonna be. But yeah, I think there is a line, but the problem is it's so blurred what that line is in terms of advertising, because they want to take whoever the biggest name is, like Anthony Hopkins, let's say in Mission Impossible, and they want to pump it up and say, oh look, here's Tom Cruise and Anthony Hopkins. So I don't know. It's something that I think they have to be wary of.
Yeah, I agree.
As a side note, I have to mention some of the best 80s posters are made filled with things that were never in those 80s movies. Like the Metal Storm is one of those movies where you're like, the poster's incredible. Then you watch the movie, it's like, it's shot in the desert for $7 and everything's with rubber bands. But the poster's incredible. Metal Storm, check it out. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them.
Speaking of posters, like there was I think, was it Italian poster? It was an international poster for 12 Years a Slave, and it has this giant head of Brad Pitt there.
Right, no, I remember that.
And it's like he's in the movie like maybe 10 minutes, and it's like his giant head on 12 Years a Slave. That to me is too misleading. I still saw one for District 9 in a different country, and they had the mech robot, and they just duplicated it. So it looked like there's an army
of the mech robots. Yeah. All right, folks, we said we'd save a couple minutes for your Twitter questions, and we will. So, Ashley, what's going on in Twitter?
Calvin Smith writes, hello, wonderful people at AMC Movie News. Do you think we will ever see a live-action The Jetsons movie like The Flintstones?
I don't think so, mostly because there was a not so long ago attempt. They did a sequel to The Flintstones, and it didn't do as well. And I just don't think they see the payoff, if you will, to doing it. I mean, we've seen the nostalgic factor has been dying a bit in recent years. So, look, anything can happen. Absolutely anything can happen. Would I be intrigued if they did? Yes. But I don't think we're going to see a Jetsons live-action film. Do you guys think any differently?
I don't think so, especially with the nostalgia thing. There's always going to be movies based on older stuff, but it's always going to shift through the decades, you know?
Yeah.
For a while, it's going to be 80s stuff, and now we're approaching 90s stuff, and soon we're going to be in the 2000s. And so I think the Jetsons' time has passed. I mean, I don't know, you know, if you probably talk to like younger people today, if they even know what the Jetsons are.
Right. Jetson, you're fired. That's something from the Jetsons. But yeah, it's definitely not going to happen because, yeah, nostalgia goes in rules of 10 to 20. Like, oh, the 70s were the 90s, then the 80s were the 2000s. So it's like what becomes nostalgia for our youth is like something that's just out of their reach from before they were born. So the Jetsons is way, way over. It's done. They were going to do like a Chevy Chase Jetsons movie. I think that was like 15 years ago. That's the last time I remember. I was like, oh, you know, if they finally do it with Chevy Chase, I'd be interested in seeing that. I remember that was like 15, maybe it was 20 years ago. I think it is over. Like people don't even know what the Jetsons are. And even though it's from the future, the Jetsons, it's just, it's like the Honeymooners style. Like it's from that weird future that no one cares about.
It was an animated version of the Honeymooners set in the future.
Yeah.
So, which doesn't resonate with a lot of people anymore.
No, not at all.
All right, let's rapid fire through a couple more here.
DJ writes, which Wonder Woman era costume do you want to see? I'm hoping for the 600 look, black pants, red shirt, and black coat.
I honestly don't care. I mean, they got an actress who can't act playing the lead, so it's irrelevant. The costume is completely irrelevant to me. Doesn't matter. Dennis?
It matters to me. I don't know which era I'd want, but I just want something that doesn't look too ridiculous. You can't be running around in booty shorts and, like, you know what I mean? It just has to make sense.
I go with the Kingdom Come Wonder Woman.
There was an era for a little while, though, that when Diana was no longer Wonder Woman, when Artemis was Wonder Woman for a while, and Diana started doing like these biker shorts with a cut-off black leather jacket and stuff like that. That was actually pretty cool, but it was a different story, so I'm not sure that would work.
I think it would keep the classic Wonder Woman, but like the way Alex Ross redesigned her, he made her like a warrior. I think that'd be the perfect way to go.
All right, what's next?
Chris Skaggs writes, John, I know you don't like Megan Fox as April O'Neil, but what about Eliza Dushku, not just as April, but Wonder Woman too?
Oh, I like her. I do. And you put her in something, I'll give it a chance because she can act. So I'd be okay with it. It's not my first choice, but I'd be good with it.
I don't think she fits those roles, either one.
Yeah, should wait for another Whedon television show. And put her in that. I think she's a great actress, but yeah, I don't see that.
All right, what's next?
Joseph Booston writes, I heard a while back that Tom Cruise was attached to star in a Van Helsing reboot that was to be darker in tone. Any update?
I don't believe he's attached to that anymore, and I don't even know that the project is still actually in the pipe. I think it's out of the loop now, but I'm not positive about that. I'm not positive about that. It could very well still be in development at some points, but as far as I know, there's no green light on any Van Helsing, let alone attached with Cruise. You guys heard any different?
No, but sounds like a good way to lose a lot of money really fast.
Right. I was going to follow that up with, I think I Frankenstein corked that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and you're like, forget it. It's out to sea.
Okay, let's take two more really quick.
Adam Rodriguez writes, who do you think has the best Quicksilver, Avengers or X-Men? And what actor would you have chosen for the role in either movie?
As to which actor, whatever, like anybody who's a good actor, put him in. I say that a lot. I am less convinced that the Avengers has the better Quicksilver anymore. I'm less convinced of that. Like after seeing the new trailer of X-Men Days of Future Past and seeing Quicksilver actually in context, it's like, wait a minute, actually, this really makes a lot of sense. And I've seen the Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver outfit now with the lightning bolt on it, and I thought that looked stupid. But obviously, I'm looking forward to Avengers 2 more than I am the new X-Men film, although I'm really looking forward to the new X-Men film. So I honestly don't know. And correct me if I'm wrong, me and some friends, we just watched Kick-Ass again last night. That's Evan Peters. Like, we're watching these scenes in this movie. They're two sitting down. It's like, I just realized these are our two Quicksilvers right here in the same scene together. What about you guys?
Clark Duke will appear as another Quicksilver.
Clark Duke has to be in both movies. Like, come with me if you want to live. Like, Blink opens up a portal. They jump in between their weird worlds.
Clark Duke.
I'm still not sold on that X-Men Days of Future Past one. It does look better in the trailer, but still, I still think the hair looks cheesy and the goggles, so I'm still going with Avengers 2.
Yeah, I mean, the X-Men Days of Future Past, definitely a reject from Studio 54, is all I can say. Like, look, he's well shot. I think the sequence that we saw from the trailer, hey, it looks cool, I think the Avengers will be better. I mean, because we've seen both costumes, and both costumes aren't all that. But now that we've seen, in context, Quicksilver doing some stuff in that last trailer, we're like, hey, that looks kind of cool, still dumb outfit. I think the same is going to go with Avengers. He's still got a dumb outfit, but once we see him doing that
in context,
yeah, it's going to be like, who cares about the outfit?
I cannot wait to see that.
I mean, Hawkeye's got kind of a dumb outfit. You know, it's just like, you know what I mean? It's not really a super outfit. It's just like, here, put this like weird nondescript black latex on. Now you're Hawkeye.
All right, last question, really quick.
Clay Bloodworth writes, I know you are gearing up for big movies, but do you have any recent faves when it comes to smaller, more indie movies?
You know, here's the funny thing, though, when you talk about indie, the term indie is so, I believe, so brutally misused today, and I know I'm going off a little bit of a tangent, but, you know, there are a lot of films in big Hollywood today that are technically indie films. You know, when you look at the Spirit Awards at the end of every year that celebrate the independent films, and I'm sorry, but most of those films at the Spirit Awards are done by A-list Hollywood directors, financed by big Hollywood producers, starring big A-list name Hollywood guys with just as big as budgets as anything else. It's just called indie because it doesn't happen to come from Disney or Warner Brothers or Fox. Like, to me, it's just, we need to relook at what the term independent film means. Right. Because I'm sorry, 12 Years a Slave to me is not an independent film. It's not. You know, when you got that kind of money, those types of people, it's all just the same. It's just that the name at the top of the poster isn't Fox.
Right.
That's what the difference between an indie. I just think we need to relook. I know that's not answering your question, but that's just kind of my rant.
Well, I think I'm saying like indie is like anything under 100 million is now indie.
Yeah.
Well, ours budget was 60 million. We had to sweat it out. Indie. Come on. I mean, I get super irritated because like I love independent film, and most of the films that are in the Spirit Awards are not independent films. Only a few of them are leveraged in there somehow. But I love the Spirit Awards. I think all those films in there deserve recognition.
Oh, no, yeah, the great films
just
celebrated
levels
at
of
it.
like,
It's just,
we have to recategorize I mean, obviously we have to recategorize what is an independent film, and then make subcategories of like, here's the 60 million, like the Hollywood independent, here's the true independent. I don't know how we just have to create different award systems.
See, to me, an independent film is this dude who's had this passion for this movie for 5 years, and he goes and he signs up for every credit card that he can, then he maxes out all of his credit cards, he sells his car, he makes this film for like $1 to $2 million, and tells us an amazingly great story with nobody we've ever heard of. Like, that's just, to me, that's what an indie film is.
Kevin Smith's first movie, Clerks. That's an indie movie.
That's an independent film. Yeah, Dennis, you're also a filmmaker and stuff like that. Like, how do you look at this whole thing about independent film?
Well, the thing about independent film is that it got co-opted in the 90s. Because what happened was there was a true independent movement, and there were a lot of movies that were made for very low budgets that they got theatrical limited releases and stuff like that. But then what happened was the big studios realized, oh, this is a popular thing now, and so they started buying up or creating their own studios and
Paramount,
making these.
Was it is it Vantage? What's the Paramount? Vantage or Vintage? Or,
Vantage, I think.
Yeah, it's still a Paramount company, but movies made by it are called independent films.
Fox Searchlight and a bunch of other stuff. Because Miramax was at that time the big independent studio, but things have changed, and now what you're talking about, true independent films, it's just hard to see them now.
I mean, a lot of the bigger studios are breaking stuff off and creating their smaller independent realm. Where like, hey, we're gonna do this. All these 10 movies are all 500,000. I'm all for that. That's what they did in the 70s. That's how we got Easy Rider. That's how we got a lot of these movies, because the studio system was broken. They were like, we're not making money. We're not breaking through to this younger audience. And they were like, look, instead of spending these $5 million for these films, let's break it up and give it to 10 different filmmakers. And that's what they did. And a whole bunch of films came out of that. And that's what revved cinema back up in the late 60s, all the way through the 70s, before Jaws, before the blockbusters started. Cinema was kind of dying in the 60s. I mean, we weren't alive, but for film history, we needed that. We needed studios to believe in filmmakers again. So independent film is not an easy task. I'm making an independent documentary. I'm constantly going in and out of money, broke, trying to get money back and forth just to make it the way I want to make it. So it's not an easy thing, and I don't suggest it for people like, hey, become an independent anything. It's not that easy. It's better to have a large company like feeding you constant amounts of cash. That's way easier, and it's a little more pleasing in your lifestyle. But Under the Skin is one that I would suggest for everyone to go see right now, Scarlett Johansson. That's an independent film. I mean, that was one of these films that took this guy 14 years to make. I mean, he made Sexy Beast, and then he made this other film in 2004, and it took, like, I guess, from that 2004 to 2014, and The Raid 2, another amazing independent film, which is out right now. It's a foreign film. Go see it at AMC theaters. I'm telling you, The Raid 2. Dennis,
I just saw it.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
So that's an independent film.
All right, folks, so we've gone over time. Thanks a lot for joining us today. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHeroPro.
Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You can find me at Instagram and Twitter @JohnSchnepp, and donate to the Schnepp Zone. Superman lives. Check it out.
And our lovely host today, Miss Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter @AshleyMova. Have a good one, guys.
And you can find me on all the various social media channels @JohnCampia. Don't forget, guys, lots of great films playing at AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. And make sure you join us tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the cast of The Quiet Ones right here in studio with us. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until next time, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.